Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of A Valley Without Wind. In the last part, I collected some new spell gems and resources, as well as going through some new mission types. In this part, I'll mainly be doing some exploration of the Grasslands north of the settlement. So there'll be not that much talking in this episode. As such, it'll be safely skippable if you really wish to, as not that much overworld progress or continent progress will be made. Over here is one of the most annoying enemies I'll face throughout the game. These are called the Dread Gazebos. Now, the Dread Gazebos are so dangerous for two reasons. One of which is because they're considered to be background objects, or background turrets to be specific, as you can't hit them without spell gems which can hit background objects, like the Fire Touch spell, the Ice Cross, or the Ivy Whip. What makes them so dangerous, in addition to this, is that every so often they'll fire off a round, an Earth Ivy round specifically, towards you, which will follow your character around, and after a while it'll split off into 12 shots radially from wherever it exploded from. What makes it so dangerous is that if you get hit by that one shot, it'll immediately break off into those 12 smaller Ivy's pellets. But they do a ton of damage combined. I mean, if you looked at it a bit earlier, I took 93 damage from all those shots combined, which is almost 20% of my health. This is even more dangerous at higher difficulty levels where it can almost one-shot your character. And taken with a lot of Dread Gazebos at once, it can be near fatal in several regards, as it was for me in some of my test runs. So always be cautious while doing it, and get spells like the Fire Touch or Ice Cross to take them out. Here I'm exploring the Grasslands called the Field of Fauna, just 3 or 4 squares north of my settlement. Here I'll be exploring all the buildings, the overworld, the underground, for several reasons. One of which is to get more spell gems and resources, mainly resources, and to find secret mission areas so I can take on secret missions which can increase my repertoire of Guardian Power Scrolls. And the main reason is because I really need more windmill or wind shelter generation Guardian Power Scrolls. Now, I didn't mention exactly earlier, or I did, each of these areas corresponds to a different time period of the world. So, like the Ice Age corresponds to the Ice Age, or Ice Age era. And the Grasslands corresponds to a more contemporary era. Because of this, if you embark on a Seek Survivor mission, which I will in the later part of this video, you'll get a new different type of survivor. As if I did a Seek Survivor in an Ice Age location, I would have got an Ice Age character. Here I'll get this locals version. This is important because once you rescue a survivor of that particular era or age, once you reset your character, you can immediately, or once you die, you can immediately pick another character of that type or age. And each character of each age has their own specialties or specifics that make them stand out from the rest. So always keep an eye out for them. Now, as I was saying earlier, this episode can be safely skippable as it's mostly exploration and not that much meta-continent progress is made. I'll put in links in the video as well as a description, as well as annotations, so you can skip to the most important parts of this video. I'll do a summary of what happens in the next video, of course. But really though, the main differences here are going to be a new mission type, some exploration, new enemies, and the usual. I'll occasionally do more types of these episodes when I come to a new local, but as I said, they're mostly just for the viewer's benefit to see how I usually explore these locations, get more resources, spell gems, and whatnot, as well as seeing how the locals, musics, and other things interact with each other. So I'll be going silent until I reach something notable. these enemies. These are called Green Fairies. What makes the Green Fairies so annoying is that it's not really their damage output, it's just that every so often a Green Fairy will send off spawns themselves. They're weaker, sure, but they come in such large numbers they can quickly rack up the kills due to their Zerg rushing ability. If you don't kill them fast enough, you can really get mobbed by swarms of these. And they're kind of hard to hit due to their small hitbox, and the fact they get launched back by your spells pretty far. So that makes spells like Cleaning Factor so useful. These, as their name suggests, these are resistant towards Earth-type spells usually, but they're weak towards Fire-type spells. But this isn't always the case, so always keep that in mind. They're annoying to take care of, but if you have falling spells, or large area of effect abilities, or you can lure them into spells like Campfire, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Back to exploration of this dark cave. this underground building, I found the Rescue Survivor from Building secret mission area. The objective of this mission is self-explanatory. We need to rescue a survivor from the end of this building, from all these monsters and hazards and whatnot. We need to first travel to the survivor and guide them to an escort mission back. In this case, the person we're trying to save is Mally Marone. And if we save her or him, what will happen is though we'll be able to recruit Industrial Revolution age characters. What I mean recruit is find them more commonly in future continents, as well as if our main character dies, we can play as any one of them on character generation. So that's pretty nice, but of course we have to get to them. First we must survive the onslaught of all these enemies, make sure to kill most, or if not all of them, before reaching the right. And here's our survivor. But once you actually get to them, press E, all these monster nests spawn all over the place. So, the way the monster nests work out is that after a while, it'll respawn monsters everywhere, or near them. And we don't want that to happen, so we have to rush to the exit again. But of course, these survivors move at a set rate, even though we've rescued them, following our position, so we can't go at all max speed, lest they get killed. Now we don't see any monsters here, but especially in higher difficulties where the respawn rate's a bit higher, we'll see a new influx of monsters near the end of this, or near the beginning. Now we got a command spell gem or scroll or smoke, which we can direct the survivors to follow if we want them to stay back, which is especially nice for tougher enemies. And as this is an escort mission, these survivors only have a limited health pool, so you gotta keep that in mind. And yeah, these clockwork monsters are kind of annoying. They're more weak to air or earth types here. It's nice though that destroying these monster nets provides a small pool of health regen. So it'll either go to me or the survivor. That's pretty nice. But keep it slow and you should be fine. It's kind of like a journey to perfection building missions, to be fair, though with much more leeway. And with that, we have rescued our first Industrial Revolution NPC, who will now be present at the outpost, or settlement, and will bring his or her new skills to the table. And hopefully will survive to the end of this. Oh well, back to exploring the cave and whatnot. by completing this defense supply depot mission, I got a torn brochure made from some glyph bearers. What it basically states is that survivors, under no circumstances, should leave the safety of the settlement. Otherwise, as demonstrated by one tidbit of story we saw earlier, where 3 survivors tried leaving the settlement, they'll be torn asunder by sudden windstorms. They need the protection of a Lari stone, or some revenant magic remnant, like the survivor we rescued. With that out of the way, I've explored several cave systems, buildings, and completed several secret missions. In the next part, it's time to make a move on against the final lieutenants. Thanks for watching, viewers, and have a nice day! Toodles!